More of the
Keep you busy.
Don't forget to sign in.
Don't forget. Hi, Mel. How you doing? You need to sign in, yeah. You're in the S's, right?
Oh, there I am. Franklin.
Hey.
Christian brought the leftover pop. I tried for him to bring it. I was hoping that you would roll it.
It didn't.
Okay. Well, then
Oh, for that for Shayla's, yeah.
okay, so then I'll take it.
Okay.
Take it.
How much you got? I mean, what do we need to order?
4-6 plus no.
Okay.
More than
Chance to Dr. Pepper, the diet. Did you get this?
That should be enough, actually. Yeah, that should be enough for the picnic. 4 6-packs.
Oh, what's your page here?
Oh, you fill out your name there, and then we give a door prize. So grab one of those tickets off there.
Next time, open them, don't reseal it. Okay. You're telling me it doesn't have to reseal it. Oh, yeah, Scotch tape.
Okay, we have 2 items. We're supposed to have 3 items come in. We want an auction. I do it no auction.
Solicitation.
Like that, huh?
Yeah.
Up there, together, how much he spent.
Hey, good morning, Franklin.
Good morning. How you doing?
All right, your picture is sideways.
Oh, how are you gonna fix that? I guess I could turn it this way.
Oh, there we go.
Is that better? Thanks.
Yeah.
How you been?
Okay. I didn't know what to do this morning. I was on my computer and I got that nice email from you. So
Oh, awesome.
I said, well, I'll just tune in and see what's going on.
Awesome. I got to show you these military displays. Awesome.
Oh, I wish I could be down there.
One of these days, you're gonna have to come down.
Yeah.
See, did you know that Lionel made parts for military products
No.
for the J36s and the J38 keys?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty little fun fact. So
You got a
they got
military display today.
yeah, it's military radios today. So we're in World War. This is World War One. This is a
I think
DC.
I think you just passed a crystal set. No.
Yeah, right there. That's the BC 14A.
I have one.
They're beautiful radios. I would love to have one of these days.
Yeah, I don't have the crystal housing.
Oh, that little glass housing,
That
the
little
glass
glass
part.
thing. I'm missing that piece. Wow. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was World War One with made by
DeForest. Yeah, this is a DeForest. This is a DeForest one. I guess the many manufacturer or a few manufacturers made them, but this is a DeForest one with the brown Bakelite panel.
they're really pretty.
And then we jump up to 1948. Now down here, you know the Vanport flood and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is kind of a display that kind of represents the Vanport flood area, where they used surplus military stuff to help because communications were all down throughout Portland and stuff like that, or Oregon. The flood, because everything flooded, especially the Vanport area. It just came in there and took it all away. All the houses were gone.
In eastern Washington, there was the big flood of 48. Took out, it completely flooded the town of Okanagan. And people had rowboats down Main Street.
It was crazy, man. It must have been some kind of crazy flood. The whole area was flooded in 48.
Right. So eastern Washington the towns were flooded also.
You can see this guy's using one of the radios, the BC-1000, and he's using it, and you can see the flood damage in the background.
Wow. Yes.
That's crazy. And that's Vanport there. So that's just locally here in Portland. So then he's got a helmet here too, which is pretty cool. And then he's got a BC 611, the handy talkie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, I have a set of those.
Oh, that's so cool. Those are really neat. Do you have the coils and the crystals too, or
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
He's got a coil and crystal sets because that they're all had to be unplugged and tuned and everything.
Well, hey, does Passara President Jay, Julia, does she know about this?
Yeah, I sent her pictures. So
okay, she's really into military stuff.
Yeah, especially these years of the military before Vietnam.
I have something that's very unusual that I thought I would show, but
cool.
Hey, is it just you and I right now, isn't it?
On this Zoom.
Yeah,
right now.
okay. Maybe I'll show you something and you decide what we could do with that. Are you familiar with a Hewlett-Packard transistor radio? AR-851 it was called.
AR-851. No.
Okay, it's a 8 transistor radio, and it sells on eBay. There are 3 of them on eBay, ranging from $800 to $1,000.
Wow.
Okay, and 2 of them have, and I'll show you something. This I'll share the screen. I don't know if you can see a share screen.
You'll be able to.
Okay, there's a picture.
There you go.
Okay, that handle is from a
that's a Packard Bell. I am familiar with that. Yeah, that was the Gilligan's Island.
Yes, that's Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, Hawaii. Not Hawaii. Anyway, that was made by Samuel, I think. For Packard Bell. Packard Bell, yeah.
Well, it's a drawer pull handle that was added, and the antenna was added.
Right. Yeah, it has an interior antenna and it didn't have a handle on the top. I've got a brown version of that.
Yeah, that's from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah, they want between the cheapest one is $800 and the other one is $1,000. Yeah.
Are they converted to it?
Well, the 2 of them have a handle, no antenna, and the cheapest one, would you believe, is original, no handle or antenna. That's the $800 one.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but anyway, that's just an old drawer pull. You can tell that.
Yeah, it's Packard Bell. But yeah, that's pretty famous radio.
So anyway, that's
they may have been white and brown. Yeah.
Anyway, it's I thought it was so interesting that that's what they're asking for this thing. Now that radio has a there's two interesting things about it. It was used for years on the island without ever changing batteries. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, anytime that you discuss something you wanted to know, you could turn the radio on and it would automatically go to the right station and talk to, and mention that topic.
Wow, magic radio.
Yeah. If you want to know the stock market, you flip it on and immediately it would give you the report.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
odd on the show. And
If you
in the
want-
show too, they had record players in the show, and they never explained why these record players, because when they did like their little dances or something like that, they'd have a record player, and these record players would just show up. It was pretty funny.
And they were they were 110-volt record players.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the magic of TV, right?
Right. Yeah, if they were worried about the weather, they would flip this radio on and immediately the weather forecast would come on.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
It was great.
I wonder why they wanted a handle on it, just so somebody could pick it up, or it was
I
kind of
don't
weird.
know. Maybe they wanted to conceal what it was so they didn't advertise.
Hmm.
I don't know. But yeah.
Nowadays they pay big money for that, right? Product placement.
That
right?
radio was, yes, that radio was dropped on the show. It was abused like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, they would drop it, they would throw it. One scene, they actually had a whole bunch of wires hanging out the back.
Oh, really?
And the professor had to put it back together. Anyway,
I think they built a bicycle one time to charge something, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember that? They built a bamboo bicycle. The professor built a bamboo bicycle that you could charge.
I just got through. By the way, it does weird things to your mind when you see a whole bunch of them. I was at a senior center and I bought a DVD set of the complete second season for $1.
Oh, no kidding.
For $1.
For $1.
Yeah, and I took this picture off of my screen. I stopped. I was watching the DVD and I stopped it and backed it up and took a camera and pointed at my screen. That's how I got the picture.
Yeah, that is a nice radio though. I like that. Those radios.
Anyway, I thought that was.
Yeah, Packard Bells are my radios too. I like them. I have a few of them. I like Packard Bells.
Anyway, for $8, without the handle or antennas, the original case, one is selling or asking $799.99, and then two of them with the handle. One's $800, and the other one's $999.
Have you ever seen if any of them have sold in the last 90 days?
No,
You can go to the sold part.
I don't know. I thought it was just something interesting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how to unshare this thing now.
It should be a stop. Should be a red button on the top.
There you go. Stop share.
There you go. Here, let me see if I can give you a better view here. Let me see. We're gonna go here and we're gonna take the lock off. Now let's see if it switches. Does it switch now or am I sideways?
Oh, it just it's a freeze frame.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Let me get it out of that.
Yeah, it's correct. Oh, that's very nice.
There we go. Is that better? That's what I should. You want to see our free table?
Oh, I want some of a yeah. Sure, a free table.
This is our free table. It's been huge. Now it's already been out for hours. So
I wish I could take a truckload down there and give it away.
yeah. This is our free table, so
Well, Home Depot wants $5 for that box.
Hey,
Oh, Hennessy, you got some liquor
Oh,
there.
there you go. Hennessy. Somebody likes some cognac.
Looks like, oh, there's some nice stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of the good stuff's gone in already.
You know, I've been known to pick up a free ugly chassis just to pull the tubes out of it.
Yeah. Don't say that out loud though.
That's not nice to do. You want to restore it.
Yeah, that's what we hear. Need a,
we had this Bose system.
Yeah.
It had like a tweeter, like 5 tweeters, mid-range and a bass.
it's a sound round, Russ.
But they took everything but that.
They didn't take the center. They wanted the speakers.
It's not what you're supposed to do.
You should have wrapped it all together and said, must take all at once.
Oh, shoot. Nice speakers.
Nice speakers. There were some Bose speakers.
Oh, look at the reel-to-reel deck.
Yeah, there's
Perfect
Sony
sound.
too. I wish I could take them.
It's a free table and no one's taking those reel-to-reel.
Nope. And they got Bible study tapes too.
There's a Bible study tape.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
It says 2, 3. There's no 1. 2, 3, and 4. Can't quite see in the boxes.
No.
There's some car radios, some speakers, computer speakers. Jerry's box.
Right.
There's some tubes. There's car speakers.
Wow.
Pretty crazy, isn't it? Listen, Admiral.
Just on the left there is a long cable radio, plastic.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah, almost looks like a Lloyd's on the back.
Yep, it sure is.
What?
It's a Lloyd's. It's a Lloyd's.
It is?
Yeah.
How about I've
Good
been
job.
around. I've been collecting radios for 70 years and I can't believe that I identified it from the backside.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, it's a Lloyd's AM FM, right?
It sure is.
Okay. I had one in college back in 1967 or
Oh yeah.
somewhere in there. Yeah. Hey, by the way, if you can pick that up for free, it's a great radio.
Oh yeah, it looks nice.
Oh, it sounds nice.
2 speakers on it. Nice radio.
Yes. Hey, I would grab that one, honestly. If it's
Yeah.
got the knobs and stuff. It's a
Got
beautiful
knobs.
set.
Got most of the tubes. Thankfully, we got all the tubes in it. Dual
Yep.
speakers. No back. That's the only thing. I think I saw the back around here somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, Lloyd's is kind of an unknown brand. Now
Nice
that
little. Look
car-
at. Did you see the rotary phone?
No. A rotary phone, huh?
Rotary phone. Yeah, that's Gary. Hey, how you doing?
Pretty
Hi.
good. How you doing?
Good.
Hi, Pat.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
You gonna load up your car or your truck?
it's already loaded up. Fancy.
Fancy stuff, huh?
Now that the guy's got a hold of a knob I want.
You got a knob you want.
I don't know that.
Pretty crazy, Jerry.
Oh my goodness, you know.
Yeah.
One thing people don't notice, seem to note is that those old chassis,
Yeah.
the
Even
power,
the knob.
the knobs and the power transformers.
Yeah.
Those power transformers are you can't get them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Is that a doorbell? That's the Philco Cathedral.
Right.
Pretty crazy, huh, Jerry?
Oh my, I wished I was there.
Yeah. No. I'm always in the way. That's the problem. I'll tell you what we're going to auction off. We got a couple things to auction off.
Well, I can't wait till we get the Star Trek technology where you can beam something over to me.
Hey, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Particle beams. There's 3 items, I thought. These are 2.
Oh, that little radio on the right there, that military.
That's what they told me it was 3, but I only see 2.
What are they gonna do with these?
They're gonna auction these off.
They usually have a great vernier dial.
I bet they don't get $1 a pound.
Very fine tuning.
That'd be about $100.
It's close, but it's very heavy.
It's very heavy.
70.
What kind of tubes are in there?
A lot. I mean, there's like, I don't know how many kids. This would be like 30 some, maybe I don't know, it's a ton. I used to know. Got the top though. Top cover. The bottom cover.
So make sure there's tubes in there.
Got top cover.
What do you think, Gary? Gary,
Yes, what?
what do you think? Big old receiver.
That one there.
That cost a fortune to have sent to you.
Oh gosh, I've shipped these before.
Have you?
I have.
What does it cost?
It's been a number of years. I had a guy buy 2 of them from me. And
Wow,
I shipped them to California. But you have to package these things to death.
I bet. And because they
I
just
didn't-
get
I
beat.
didn't trade it either. I used double really strong boxes, and they got there fine. But it was about $80 a piece, I think. And that was
Now it'll
from
probably
California.
double that.
I bet it is. And go to the East Coast. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mailed what was it? An SX-28 helicopter to Hawaii one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a guy bought it from me, and it was $230.
Oh my gosh.
So you get, UPS won't deliver it.
Yeah, that's the only one.
It's an enormous box. Yeah, my heavy shipping days.
Pretty crazy. What's in the box on top?
Tubes for radio.
Oh, it's tubes for it?
Yes, it's tubes for radio.
Oh,
But that needs a power supply and headphones. They're fun to use.
pretty crazy.
That's getting up there.
Beautiful day out. How's your weather, Gary?
Oh, gorgeous.
It's been
Yeah.
gorgeous here.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it is just wonderful. But
We've got a demonstrator here today.
oh,
Have you seen those?
Is that a freebie?
Nope.
You
No, that's our demonstrator.
that's great.
Hi.
Well,
He's
it's-
waking up.
I don't see many people there.
Yeah, well, it's not supposed to start till 9:30, but
Oh, okay. Oh, the donuts will
about
be gone. You got donuts?
Yeah, donuts and coffee.
They'll be gone. Send me one.
Yeah, there you go. You could beam that particle beam again. Beam it over there.
Oh, wow.
Don't worry about what came over.
Hey, do you know any Trekkies, you might call them? Guys who really
like
into
Star Trek. Hi.
yes.
Like Star Trek stuff.
Uh-huh. I have a large box completely full of Star Trek movies and books.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a whole series of Star Trek books.
Oh yeah.
Paperbacks.
I'll keep my eyes out.
Anyway, I might take them to the August meet if someone is really into that.
Cool. I know some people that collect the figures, you know, like those little figures that they had. You know,
Mhm.
they collected those. And then there's people that do cosplay. Hi, how you doing? Good. Did you go to the Tesla radio show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, how was it? It was good again. You really like those, huh?
Yeah. Friday.
Oh really?
So it'll be a lot more.
Cool.
But yeah.
Good, huh?
Yeah, it is good.
Oh, awesome.
Probably won't be videos live.
Have you ever heard of that, Jerry? They have a old time radio show. They do it live. You know, like you'd say stage performance.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
it's the old time radios. Yeah, we got this place they're called Tesla. Tesla radio show,
Yeah,
right?
City Stories.
Oh yeah, Tesla City Stories. There we go.
Okay, there's a
Hey,
picture
wait,
of the donut.
Oh yeah, there's a yeah. You saw the donut.
He's
Maple bars.
making me hungry.
Oh, you're gonna have to run and get something to eat before the meeting.
You're making me hungry from 300 miles away.
Yeah. Pretty funny. Yeah, good thing you can't smell them, huh? Smell good. Maple bar.
You have to work on that technology.
Yeah, exactly. That's cute. It's good for holding up a radio. Look at this.
It rolled up as pictures. Yeah. Favorite dog.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. That's cool.
Go with her and see if she likes it.
She don't like it.
You like it?
Oh, you don't like it.
She approves.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christian.
I can tell.
Oh, we do have people. You know, the trouble is, I can't reach the hacks. I'm not home.
Oh, uh
And we had a table up there, or we had a step.
Step
it's
stool.
gone.
Really? Somebody who's tall? Who's tall?
With the phone.
I found it in the thing. You want it? I was gonna take it home. That's what I think it was made.
What is that on the top? Did you figure that out?
You push it.
Might be for the ringer, the mute.
Mute it as a mute button.
Yeah, but watch this. Watch this. It goes up.
Oh, when you hang up. Oh, so maybe. Oh, that makes sense though. You push it down, you hang it up, and then it goes back to being able to ring.
And then what's this thing?
Oh, but it wouldn't ring if you took it off there. It wouldn't ring. It's busy signal.
Send a goodwill.
Well, are they colored plastic ones or?
One of them's pink.
Oh,
Blue.
ooh, princess dial, rotary.
Ooh, ooh, I want that.
I'll bring it.
What color do you have?
They're both black over. Are we supposed to sign in? Or?
Yeah, please do. And then you can sign a door prize ticket. Hey, Myron, thanks so much. That radio is pretty cool.
So I was wondering, is the clock mechanical?
I haven't actually
haven't
taken it
found
apart.
out
I haven't
yet?
found it out. Yeah, it probably is.
That's the only thing I can figure it has to be.
That's yeah. The clock doesn't work, but
Yeah,
you know, the radio works fine.
yeah.
I mean, it's really cool. And she's like, I don't think it works. Well, you put batteries. You know, I don't know.
Well,
They even had
what they
batteries.
had in the clocks and Porsches was they're mechanical clocks. But then the way they wind is they have a solenoid in them. And when the spring winds down enough, then it engages the solenoid. It's got this ratchet.
They would ratchet
that
it up.
winds-
Oh,
that
really?
winds the clock.
It's a hybrid.
Yeah, it'll go chicka 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 chicka.
Oh,
You
really?
know, like
And
every
wind
6
it up.
hours or 12 hours or something like that.
Really?
You know, it depends on what it is.
That's
So,
hilarious.
I bet you
So
that's
that's
what that
the
is.
bridging two technologies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of like the
So,
hybrids, right?
you have those rebuilt on the courses,
Oh, yeah.
you know, for $200, $300.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's really cool because that, you know, it doesn't run down the battery, right?
Yeah.
It only does that like once a day or something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And you can hear it go.
So it gives better economy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's intermittent.
That's hilarious.
So I'm just betting that's what that is.
I'll have to bring it next
I
time.
can't imagine otherwise it would be.
So did you see a little solenoid in there that hooked to the
Yeah,
winder?
yeah, yeah.
Why don't we do?
I don't know if it's, you know, it might all be inside of a can or something where you can't see anything.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, that's what about got it. Current electric clocks, portable.
Right, yeah.
Plug-ins, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, ports and all that stuff didn't show up. So,
Yeah. Yeah, she left it outside and just said,
oh,
just said,
come get it.
come get it and leave the money under the tank. I said, all right. And
Seemed like a good price to me. I was like,
crazy $6. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's
looked pretty
the
nice.
plastic is nice.
Didn't- didn't
And you know,
crack.
it's not flat either. It's, you know, it's angled on both sides.
Oh, okay.
So it's even cooler than I thought. I
Oh,
thought it was gonna be
I didn't see
flat.
that. Yeah,
I
thought it
didn't.
was square.
I saw one online that was like that, where it's kind of like it's like a trapezoid kind of thing. So which is what makes it even cooler. And then it spins around on the base.
Right,
Wow, that's cool. So I was like,
I've never seen one like that. That was towards the end. I was looking at Radio Museum. Volvo listings. That was towards the end of the Volvo radios.
Oh, really?
It's like 68 or 67 or something. And they're about done by 70.
stop doing Volvo.
At the jewelry store.
I'd
What a
really like to have
concept.
the TR1 equivalent in Boulevard, right? That would be the one to get. But
Yeah.
yeah, but always look for those.
That was such an odd thing to be doing. You know, I guess they're just trying to make money however they could. Right?
Exactly.
They-
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, that's the thing about a jewelry store, right? You can sell something for a lot more money than.
Oh yeah, 500%
Radio
markup.
Shack.
At least 500% markup on all jewelry, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a spontaneous luxury item.
Right, right.
So it's like, yeah,
Yeah. It's a good idea.
that's why I like the business. It's good business when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, like bad economy, it's really bad because
Right.
nobody's spending money, right? And yeah, when it's good economy, and people got money, they just throw it away basically.
Yeah.
And you can't compare it. I mean, it's hard to compare. Well, you don't actually weigh out you just whatever it's
Oh, yeah.
personal preference, right?
Right, right.
So they don't weigh some people get into the different flavors of diamonds and stuff, but other than that, it's pretty rare. It's like, oh, it's pretty, it sparkles. You want it or not, right? And then negotiation was pretty easy too, because
Right.
you know, if they really want it, they really want it. So.
Right, right.
Wondering if I can leave. No, I
Hello, attention please, the meeting will start in a little bit, don't forget to sign in as attendance sheets and get a raffle ticket for the door prize.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, how are you?
Good.
It's that. Just sitting in it, someone brought them in. They don't remove them, like, oh, have you warned them how vicious we are? Well, that was obvious. That'd have to be warned out there. Now we're about, you know, highly,
They disconnect the bad from it, or they just had them all, they have them all going.
Yeah, they just kind of.
Hey, Franklin.
Hey,
Yeah, this, your door prize reminds me of many years ago, I went to a party and the door prize, and a guy won the door prize, and you won't believe what he got.
oh yeah, what do you get?
It was a door off of
A real door prize.
an old dilapidated door off about a 1940s house that been remodeled. They gave
funny.
it as a door prize.
That's perfect. It really was a door prize.
It was.
That's funny.
Wow.
They took it literally. Is that a pun? Would that be considered a pun?
I guess. The guy who won it was sure surprised.
That's crazy. Can you reach the hats? Can you reach the hats that are in there? Pat said he couldn't reach it.
Where are they at, you know?
I don't know. Actually. I can't go in there, so.
This building is like.
You want me to get Pat or you? Pat. Pat. Tap him on the shoulder. There used to be a step stool in there, but we don't know where it went.
I have two. Sanitized by the 18th department. They're allowed to be around this server.
I think if we put it out there, maybe we get people to sign up for the door prize. We should probably put them out for sale too. Just can't sell them back. They're not out there. I get some signs made for prices. Give one hat away and one of each.
Want some shirts or a shirt?
Yeah, I'll just take one shirt off.
Okay, I'll announce.
Yeah, okay. But if we kept them out there earlier, I think we might get people to buy. See our new hats? Hey, how you doing?
Free or are they at the auction?
You know, I was told there was an auction, but then I heard Ed say there's no auction because there's supposed to be 3 of them. No, I don't think they're free, but let me go ask Pat. Patrick, I got another question for him. Tap him on the shoulder. Too busy. I was told he was going to put them on auction. Those videos, and then Ed says there's no auction today.
Oh, it's nice.
Patrick, stop talking for a minute. I just need one question. Is there an auction or no auction? He can't hear me. He's old. I can say he's old. He's older than me.
He will be.
Older?
Gravity keep working.
It does, doesn't it? I'm old, so he's really old because he's older than I am. Yeah. Patrick.
Yeah.
Pat, I got a question for you. They want to know, are those radios gonna be, are we gonna auction those radios off? Or you decide, I could,
No, no,
it's telling nobody no, right?
no, because we said there was no auction. Why? Why does people actually want them?
They want to buy them.
Well, they are the clubs, but we weren't gonna have an auction, so
They want to take a bids, like silent bids?
I have to okay that one bid.
Would it be a silent bid? I mean,
Yeah,
What are you gonna do with the
well, I'm just asking.
Flash R390?
I just asked you.
That's an unusual
We're gonna auction them off,
I was
but
gonna throw it in the recycling bin. Cause it's too heavy to take home.
No, anyway, so.
Well, should we, let's ask.
let's get Scott involved too here. These are the board members here. We want to get rid of those radios.
But I said, one auction, so should we approach him to take high bids for them?
Like a silent auction? Yeah. That is okay. I think it's, do it. We got 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Put a price on it. We on offers. We'll take offers. How you doing?
It's 2 items. It's
Yeah,
not a big deal.
Okay,
What was the third? I thought that we had 3 of them.
well, those people didn't show up yet.
Oh, okay. There's only 2.
Right. We have to do it. for
Okay.
45 minutes.
We're taking offers on these. Clyde, why don't you get the thing and make an announcement? We're gonna take offers on them.
Attention, there's no auction, but there's 2 items back there. We're taking bids on those, but we only have 3 minutes before the meeting starts. If you're interested in those 2 items on the back
When you.
counter, please make a bid.
Next time and you can see the brand.
Oops. I'm sorry. Bumped into you.
Get it, dollar gone. I'm interested, who do you take a bid with? Don't wave your hand.
Make an offer
To who though?
to us. Make an offer. Any board member you can make an offer to, and then we'll take a high offer, I guess is what we'll do.
I put 25 bucks.
Before you buy it.
Oh, no.
No.
What's the difference between this and?
So I just did a bunch of research on,
Oh, yeah, what's the difference?
this was a top secret program. And this is during the 67. Jamming each other.
You got a $25 bid on this.
Other way. Because the R390 have a lot of.
Well, let's open it up to everybody. Why don't you let them know? I think we should just say, make offer on it, and then at the end of the meeting, they take it home.
No, it's an art.
That book right there
Yeah.
is donated by Blake. It's a
Awesome. You want to give it away as a door prize too?
I'll save it for next time.
Okay,
I asked him, he says for next time.
Okay.
I said, could we do it today? He goes, well, it's up to you.
okay. No, go ahead, throw it in the tub, and then we'll give it away next time.
So we're taking best offer.
Take your best offers at the end of the meeting. Just tell them that.
Oh,
Oh. They're great. That's fun to use.
Okay, we're taking best offers at the end of the meeting for those 2 items on the back table. You have until the end of the meeting to make your best offer.
He was saying that one transceiver there was a secret program. Really unique. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even look at it.
We got a $25 bid on it. But it's got, it said 32.
There are shirts and hats up for sale here. By the way, don't forget to mark the attendance sheet and get a raffle ticket. Because we're raffling 2 NWVRF 50-year anniversary hats, 2 of them, but you have to take a ticket. You have to enter. We also have, for those unfortunate people that didn't win a hat, we have hats up here for sale and 50-year anniversary shirts. They are for sale.
Are you okay coming to my house to have this next board meeting?
Where's your house? Is it accessible? Is it flat?
Actually, it's more accessible than any place we go.
Oh, okay.
You could,
Oh,
I'll
really?
make a space for you in the driveway and you can just roll right into.
Okay, sounds good. When is
And
it?
it's in Southeast Florida.
Oh, okay, that's much
I think
closer.
Thursday.
Thursday.
You
Okay.
have to ask Pat, but Thursday.
It's just down the road from that,
Oh, really?
off of 92nd.
Oh, okay.
That feedback.
That's feedback yet. Thank you.
Can I have your attention, please? It's 9:30. Welcome to the June NWVRS meeting of 2024. I'm hoping that you guys got some great free table items. Unfortunately, it's first come, first served for those. So we have some new members. Are there any guests? Any new members? No, all right. Where? Oh, yes,
Yeah.
sir. What is your name? John. Yes, welcome to the club. By the way, what do you collect? What are your interests?
Well, I write software for a living. I'm getting interested in radio repair restoration.
Okay, right here it is, right here. You're a new member. Okay, great. This is a great place to come to for all that. So welcome, John. Any other guests, new members? No, all right. Would you please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, welcome. So next up, do we have any health or welfare? Anything anyone wants to report on? Okay, then next, yes,
I received a voicemail this morning from Tony Ramp.
yes.
He is out of the hospital.
Okay, Tony Ramp is out of the hospital. Is he at home?
He is at home.
Okay. Great.
He hospitalized for. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Did he say that he's welcoming contact, phone calls, visits? Did he say anything?
Only for you and only if you want light bulbs.
Oh. All right. No other health and welfare, we'll go to secretary's minutes. They're all, oh, sorry, Bobby. Is Bob doing good? Okay, great. So the secretary's minutes are obviously in the call letter, but we need someone to go ahead and say if we need to read those or if we can accept them as written. Do we have any motions?
I'll second it.
Motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Second it. All in favor? Aye, okay, good.
All opposed?
Motion carried. Next up, treasurer's report.
Cash on hand is over $11,000. And I wasn't able to announce last meeting that we broke through the $50,000 barrier for the Jim Mason Fund.
Wow,
And it's still climbing,
wow,
doing well.
great, that's wonderful.
Much better.
Any questions for the treasurer? None, okay. Okay, we do not have a entry for the corresponding secretary or the amateur radio. There's no new business for that for this month. So next up, we have leads and needs. Any leads and needs?
Question. So I picked this up off the free table. I don't know who bought it. I guess it needs the description. If somebody, I don't know who.
Is there a model number on the back?
It's probably six.
Okay,
But I don't know who brought it from the free table. Oh, you did from the, okay,
Yes.
okay, so, yeah,
I don't know this. I'm sorry, I don't know the model number.
6J2 or 6B2.
6 Baker 2, 6B2, or 6 Victor, 6B2 Crossley, Tombstone. You need the escutcheons and 3 knobs.
Yeah. The discussion would be the hard thing to find, but if somebody parted it out or.
Okay, right. Any other leads and needs?
Got it.
I did, I brought it. That's the way I got it.
Okay.
Okay, I do need some bulbs. I need a this is in addition to those. I also need an NE-45 or a number 12 miniature light bulb. I believe these are in later, like 60s home entertainment systems, tape decks, stereos, whatever, but if anyone has some of these bulbs, I need one of each. The one is a number 12 miniature light bulb, and the other one is a NE Nancy Edward -45. So if anyone needs these, I can buy them for $1.50, but I have to buy 10 and I only need one. So, oh, sure.
Bring needs to, you can bring.
That's
Is there, yes, Dan,
Number 12, we'll have 2 cans that probably,
yes, there's 2 straight pins that come right down.
I've got a bunch of those somewhere. Find them for you.
Okay, how much do you want for them?
Stay at home from miniatures.
Okay, so it looks like we may have a supply of those. I just need one. So if anyone else needs those, some of those, yeah, okay, appreciate it. All right, there's no other leads and needs. We'll go to old business. First thing up there is a memorial bench. And I want to thank Lee Stanford for coming out here and cleaning up the grounds. The Abernathy Grange was looking for volunteer work because they are a nonprofit and they need to be kept in the red or in the black. What is it? They need to be in the black. Sorry. Well, if in the red, maybe we could buy them. We could buy this place. Because that was mentioned, if we could afford this place, we should buy it. But I have a feeling with this building on almost 2 acres, I don't think it's within our financial grasp. Well, I looked this place up on Zillow and it's only like, it's under 600,000, but I doubt it would sell that cheap with 2 acres here and this building. I imagine this place is probably worth millions because.
The apartment.
What?
Yeah, that apartment building.
Yeah, they just built all those apartments over there, so if we need a rich benefactor that will buy this place for us, we'd really appreciate that. So, we came out to, do some yard work around here, voluntary, because they don't, like I say, they're a nonprofit, and they have to be kept in the black. If they are not, financially viable, this place goes back to the Grange systems. And if they can't find anyone within a certain amount of time, this place would be sold. But for now, they are in the black, so we don't have to worry about that. The reason why it came out for the work is that they also said, hey, you guys were thinking about putting a memorial bench here. And so they showed us where we could put it, and it happened to coincide with the work day. So we ended up doing work so that they could tell us where we could put this memorial park bench. And one of the locations is right here, where it's been neatly cleaned up, or on the other side of the clothes bin. So those are the two places we could put a memorial park bench. Any questions on that? Yes.
If the possibility that this place might be sold, make sure the bench goes in so you can remove it.
Good point. Good point. But then we also have to secure it because we're worried that somebody will steal it. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay, the next point is the American Legion memberships. Has anyone gotten their membership in the mail? Because I talked to Lisa Hand, and she said she had figured out the delay. And so she was going to go ahead and send those out. So has anyone gotten their membership in the mail?
Nope.
Bobby, that'd be you, Scott. Okay, all right. It sounds like an action item. We need to contact Lisa again. So that's in the works, but apparently it hasn't come through just yet. So the next old business is a reminder for the July 20th picnic swap meet in Chehalis. And we have a volunteer to do the pickup, is that correct?
Yeah.
So I think we should put that down there. Franklin has volunteered to take the lead on the picnic supply.
I didn't say lead. I said pick up the supplies.
Oh, okay.
but that's okay.
Okay,
I'll pick up the
So
supplies.
could you use help?
Sure. I
All
would
right,
love.
so we're looking for another volunteer to help Franklin with getting supplies, kind of planning it out. This has been done before, so it doesn't have to be from scratch. You have estimates from last
yeah.
time. Okay, so we know about what we need this year because we're based on what was done last year.
Are you just getting food items? Are you gonna get plates?
Yeah, we'll get everything. Everything other than stuff that potluck people want to bring, right?
Okay, it is a potluck.
But we'll bring this essentials as the club.
Okay, the club will bring the essentials because it's the standard picnic. And just for FYI, the picnic is going to be brought back here next year. I don't know if you guys remember that. But the picnic for 2025 will be here at the Abernathy Grange.
Why is that?
Why is that?
There was
Well,
people don't want to go that far. They don't want to travel that far. So that was the problem. Yeah. So that means we're not going to have a pizza party either
Oh, okay,
following.
so 2025 then
No pizza party and the picnic will be here.
picnic will be here. I don't know if we actually decided there will be no pizza party in
Okay,
2025.
okay, I guess we.
Because why would we have a pizza party? Because the pizza party was because the people who could not travel to Chehalis, we had a pizza party here, so for 2025, it hasn't been set in stone. But we're thinking that we will not have a pizza party here next year.
That's a trash bash.
Sevens.
Okay,
Anything else is still an option.
okay.
Right, so, yes,
Oh,
Brian,
we're not doing Chehalis then?
we didn't say that, we're just not doing the picnic, the summer picnic.
At the Chehalis. But we could do a Chehalis swap meet. I mean,
No, it's the Shayla's PSAR swap meet, slash
Slash
barbecue, picnic, blah, blah.
So you're looking at doing both. That's separate.
it hasn't been set in stone. If we're gonna,
I've asked Jay from PSARA if they will take the helm for Chehalis next year. And I haven't gotten response back, but we're still thinking we will do the swap meet in Chehalis again in July of 2025. The picnic is out. We are not supplying the picnic.
Oh, for the Chehalis.
yeah,
Yes, because the picnic now is here.
So when is that gonna be, or have you decided?
It
That'll-
will probably be the second
Saturday.
Saturday of July. And we'll have to confer that with the trainers because I don't know if that's going to interfere or not. Because if we have the picnic, what about training? Should we do a picnic on a different Saturday?
I don't think you train during a family exam. Usually the picnic was members of the family. So
Okay,
I would advocate give training that month.
what about if we rented this place for another weekend in July?
Picnic or
Yes, no, for the picnic, for the picnic.
that's not my goal and something to work, but if you want training in July, happy to provide it. But you can provide it here on
Okay, my personal feeling is that we should have the picnic on a separate day in July. That's my feeling, because I don't want training to stop for. Well, I would like to have both. How's that? Yes, Mike. Okay, we can take this discussion up later. I mean, we may need to think about, we have to find availability for this place, make sure that weekend is available. And maybe people don't want to come here twice in a month. I don't know.
especially in July when people are on vacation.
A lot of people be on vacation, yes, exactly. So we'll, what?
Plus you have Shayla.
Yeah, it would be three things if we have Chehalis too in
Okay,
July.
well, we'll put this in your thinking cap and think about it. We may need to improvise for next year. So is there any other old business people want to bring up? Okay, good. Let's go to new business. First thing up is a pizza party. We voted this year to have a pizza party at the Trash and Bash. But we need someone to go pick up the pizza. The previous person who did this for us is not a member of Costco. They do not have a card. And of April of this year, Costco is no longer allowing non-members into their food court. So we need someone who will volunteer to pick up the pizza. Well, if you say that, yeah, that automatically volunteers you.
Okay,
So is anyone going to try to wrestle that responsibility from Scott?
All right, and make sure, I called on Friday, because last year the guy tried to do a switcheroo on me because he didn't like. I insisted I needed the pizzas and that I had bought them before with no problem, but he was telling me I needed a Costco card and blah, blah. So I kept with him, and he says, okay, well, I'll just do it this time. He actually put me down on for a Sunday.
Okay.
Instead of the Saturday, and I think he did that in.
How many pizzas did you order last time?
10, and then I got like 4 cheese and 6 pepperoni, but the cheese are pretty much just as fast.
All right, was that too much or not? 10 pizzas.
It was right there.
Okay.
It wasn't too crazy, but it was like, if you went, if you go 1 or 2 pizzas less, like. Only $10 a piece still. And then, I plan on picking up the mixed green salad dressing and then slices and tomatoes or whatever.
All right.
For the salad. And
So
I
you're
can
gonna
pick
take care
up
of the
the
salad,
plates.
I'll take care of the
I
pizza.
can pick up the plates and the, plastic.
All right. Well, I can
Bring
bring
the
pizzas
salad.
up, that's not a problem.
Okay, all right, Scott and Christian, thank you so much.
That's in August.
No,
That's July meeting.
is that?
No,
It's the
trash
trash
bag.
bag. Always-
August, yeah.
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 Trash bag.
Yes, second Saturday. Any questions on the beach party? Okay, next up,
Do they have preference, do you want pepperoni or cheese, and then I usually, I'll bring the tomatoes.
All right.
Well,
So just get 5 of each and away we go.
Yeah.
okay, 5 each.
Make it simple.
Right, so June 13th, there will be a board meeting, 7 p.m. That's this coming Thursday. It will be at Scott's place. So this is where you are all welcome to attend, but non-board members do not have voting privileges, but you can be there at his place.
Right, we're gonna reserve parking in the driveway for Franklin, because he has, I wanna make it easy for him. So if you do come, park on the street, it's a small street, there's only parking on one side, please read the signs. Not that the city ever comes up there or anything, but it's a small street and parking is only on one side.
Okay, any questions on the board meeting? Okay, a general announcement to Google Groups will also go out this week. Okay, next up, June 29th is the Columbia Springs Repair Clinic. And that was listed at 2 different times in the caller. It is 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. So we are looking for volunteers. You don't have to be that knowledgeable. It is mainly a radio triage session that we partner with Columbia Springs. People can bring in their old vintage electronics, 2 radios, whatnot, and we will have a look at them. So please let us know if you are willing to join us. It's just another public outreach to help people out there have their radios fixed. We are not restoring radios. This is only a triage. If we can get them running, that's good. What happens if it is more involved than we can fix in 30 minutes, then we will give them references to where they can get their radios fixed. In this time, we can usually do a power cord, maybe check their tubes and some other things, but we would not have time to recap the radio or do major stuff. It is mainly just to see if we can get their radio running within 30 minutes. And of course, it's an introduction to our club and services we provide. Yes, you want to go ahead?
Those of you who are interested in the final sale from the Joe Basita estate, it is going to be on the 29th of June. The sale is everything that didn't sell before and all of the components that he had. And he had a considerable amount of resistors, the old metal capacitors, things like that. There's a lot of tools which the family wants to sell. And there also is a relatively substantial clock parts and I think complete clocks that will go up for sale. There are hundreds of transistor radios remaining from a couple sales ago. There are a lot of wooden cabinets. There are a fairly large number of chassis. You might be able to make some of the Zenith chassis with cabinets that are there. So, I mean, I looked at what they had. It's just basically, free for all for what's left. Question, David?
Is it going to be an actual sale price or auction, or we just tell them this is what we want to pay for it?
So this is has not exactly been decided yet. The problem here is that, the amount of stuff and the kinds of stuff kind of necessitate, I mean, if you went in there, he has cabinets and cabinets of resistors and capacitors and things like that. The radios and stuff, I think at this point, you might get away with just offering them whatever you think they'll get. And they'll either go yea or nay.
Okay.
Yes,
They're gonna sell the clocks too?
yes. All right, so this will be the final sale that's reserved for club members. If they do have another sale, it would be open to the public.
So that's 20.
The 29th is a Saturday from 10 to 2, same hours as the repair clinic.
Oh.
No, the repair clinic gets out at noon.
Oh, 10 to noon, so
So you come to the repair clinic and then go to the sale.
yeah. On this sale, watch the postings on the news groups and on Facebook, because as we get closer, I'll get more information about how it's gonna be conducted. The nice thing about the blind bid sale is it didn't matter when you got there. This, if we change the format of it, it will be important when you get there. And so, and I think that that's gonna be part of the problem for the family at this point, is that if we do go with a regular sale and everybody shows up at 10 o'clock, it's a very small neighborhood. There is parking, but it's gonna be really crowded. And I don't think that's what they want, so we're gonna have to figure out something to figure out how, if those things that might be in demand, how to figure out how to get rid of them. All right?
Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? Does anyone have any new business they wanna talk about?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I have a new item that came up. Someone was asking me that, new members, they would like to have a name tag. I think we voted on that. So be sure to talk, can they talk to you, Scott, about getting name tags?
Yes.
Yes, talk to Scott about getting name tags. But another thing was brought up about new members. When new members come in, there's no new member orientation. Like, some people are coming into the club not knowing that we have a really good supply of knobs, capacitors, resistors, tubes, all sorts of stuff, but they were not aware of that. So I'm kind of wondering, what do you guys think? Should we have a new member orientation that kind of introduces people to people that repair, people that have knowledge about things, supplies? Because I've heard that some people that have recently joined are buying their tubes online. They're buying their capacitors, resistors online, because they don't know that members here can sell them and probably at a discount. So what do you guys think? Do you think we should?
Buyer.
Yes, like,
I still have a copy of the 1984 book of resources this club used to have spiral bound. I doubt any of them are still valid, but at one time we had a handout.
Didn't Mike Irvin say he was gonna catalog the tubes?
yes, see, we do have those.
Not tested, but cataloged.
We should also maybe just put something in the newsletter and on the news group saying that if you're interested in obtaining these things and you're a club member, they're available as a club members, and then you can supply and contact whoever to see if there's availability of what you're looking for.
Okay, the tubes are a different thing. So far, the club has a collection of tubes. Not one tube has been sold yet to anyone because we have not figured out pricing. There is though a provision for a member if they want to enter a radio into the November restoration projects that the club will supply the tubes if they are available. Of course, there are restrictions. You know, we're not going to allow you to have 100 restoration projects for the month of November. That doesn't seem reasonable. But for sure, if you have one radio that you would like to enter into the contest, you can obtain the tubes from the club if they have them free of charge. But that's to get you interested. It was mainly focused on the newbies, the people who just recently joined, that do not have a huge collection of tubes to draw upon, or may not know of anyone. So that is one reason why the club is able to provide tubes, and hopefully they're all American 5s, because that's the training we're going through right now. And we should have most of those tubes available. Yes, Dan.
I wonder if we could, you know, help the new collectors get off on the right foot by making sure that every new collector gets a free console with their membership.
I like that. Kind of hit them before they know any better. Well, good point.
I think that the people that have a lot of parts that want to be known as suppliers of parts should be on the list. And with what their specialty is and what they can do. But not everybody wants to be on that list.
Ah, that's true. So how about this? How about anyone that's willing to supply training, parts, or whatever knobs? Send that information to the board and we can comprise another 1984 list that we can pass out to new members. Like, could I get a copy? Is that where you photocopy, or just so we can see the format? Okay, great. So please talk to any board member if you have like bulbs, knobs, parts, anything that you wish that you could help other club members out with. Because we don't want to put your name on this list if you don't really want to be part of that list. Sounds fair? Okay, so we'll work on this, comprise the list, and we'll give it to, we'll make it available to everyone, but part of the welcome package is we can give this pamphlet to every new member. And sorry for the members that have joined recently that haven't got this information, but trust me, all you have to do is ask. That's why there's Google booths out there. If you guys need any parts or anything, just say, hey, I'm looking for this. And someone hopefully will chime in. I would like to say that I was able to get some 45 bulbs, and that was very nice. Is Andrew still here? Okay, maybe took off. But anyhow, I sent an email out and I got the tubes, the bulbs that I needed for my radio. All I had to do was ask. Do we have any other new business? If not, we'll turn it over to the vice president for the monthly feature.
So this monthly feature is going to be military radios or military style radios. And please respect the speakers by keeping your conversations to a minimum or outside. The first one off is Dan's gonna, there you go.
Good morning. Dan couldn't be here. My little brother's in town from LA, so he had other priorities, but he asked me to talk about his radios here. The first one is kind of a interesting wartime, World War II time look. The Lionel Train Company, like many other industries, was precluded from continuing to make toys when we had, shortage of war materials and shortage of manpower and other things. But they did get government contracts to make telegraph keys. And here's a couple of keys that were made by the toy company. The first is a semi-automatic, what they call a bug, J36, and the other is a very common J38 Lionel straight key. So they were
they kept the factories open, they kept their workers going, but no more trains until the end of 1945. This is a BC 14A, which was one of the early uses of radio in the military. It's kind of an interesting story. This is a receiver, obviously, it's a crystal set. They were starting to use aircraft during World War I to sight in the howitzers. They would fire at a target, then an airplane would give feedback. The problem was the logistics. Not only was radio kind of in its infancy back then, but the idea of the pilot couldn't really hear the signal on the radio over the racket from the open cockpit engines. So what they did was the ground crew of the howitzers received the signal from the transmitter on the airplane, and then they signaled back to the airplane by using like large charts so the airplane transmitted the howitzer crew received the signal, like 30 yards to the right on the crystal set, and then acknowledged the signal back to the airplane using ground cloths. So interesting article about that in the 2010 AWA review, which is in our library and available online. And then finally over here, these radios are World War II technology. This is the handy-talkie single channel AM radio, and this is the walkie-talkie backpack radio FM. So these guys actually didn't talk to each other, but they were both used for short range communications, typically in the infantry. Right after World War II, 1948, we had the big Vanport flood, 1948, and at that time we still had standing armies and things like that. So the Oregon Washington National Guard, regular Army, Air Corps, were all called up to provide aid to the flooded region here in Portland and also up and down the Columbia River. And that was the thrust of my book, Voices of Vanport, talk about radio's role in that response. So in addition to the radios and their accessories, when you come up after the presentation, you can look at the pictures. This is a fellow actually using the BC 611 doing dike watch duty down at Kelso Longview. And in the center is a picture of the Civil Air Patrol along the dike around Vanport, posing with some of the radios. It's pretty obvious in the posed picture. They've got field telephones and BC 611s, and then a big radio truck that was apparently given to the CAP for their use. And then finally over here is the BC 1000, the backpack radio. Phil is not actually wearing it, it's sitting on a chair. And this picture was taken on Denver Avenue, where it crosses the Columbia Slough at the southeast corner of the Vanport site. The Army and the National Guard were there on site for, I think, at least a couple of weeks. And it's kind of sad. The patrolman was there to keep out looters and looky-loos that might have wanted to get into the site and get into trouble. And of course, as the
flood event continued for several weeks afterwards into the summer, they were continuing to look for people that would have been lost. And CAP as well, the CAP is a civilian air patrol group, and they were using their planes to circle to look for leaks in the dikes, and also again to look for the aftermath of the tragedy. So this is a single channel radio, and the boxes here have the crystals and the coils that you would change out so that you could change frequency on your radio. The reason why I brought these is they were kind of significant to Vanport because you had people coming from all over the region, and the different groups, the different National Guard armories and stuff might have been on different channels, which made it really, really awkward with a crystal controlled radio, because you could talk to your group, but you probably couldn't talk to the group that came in from Wenatchee or whatever. And so they would have had these replacement parts, coils and crystals. However, basically, the radio would have to be taken apart by a technician, the right frequency found, put in there, and then tuned up again. So this guy here with the variable frequency FM radio would have been far more adaptable in that group response situation. Anyway, thank you for your time.
There you go, Sonny.
Well, I must have been confused. I thought this one feature was wood radios, which is what I brought. So obviously I either mistaken or somebody else's. What I brought here was a radio with a record player in it, which was the old type player, which seldom work these days because of the construction. These had a rather primitive construction with the rotor and the stator so close together that it didn't take long for the bearings to wear and they would lock up. So the solution to that is replace the old style changer with one that works, which is a 45 player.
Oh, that's perfect.
Put in there the modified 45 player where I removed the mechanism and shortened the spindle so that it would fit inside this. That's all I have to offer.
You got any questions? Any questions for Sonny?
Pat?
Yep. Does it automatically, change record like the old 45 did?
Well, this is a modified changer. I removed the changing mechanism and shortened the spindle.
Okay, so it's all manual.
Yeah, it's a manual player now. Because the changer mechanism wouldn't fit.
Cool.
Any other questions?
I just short the cap. Did you have to cut it or is it?
Well, I cut the shaft off and shortened it.
Do by hand or on a lathe or what time?
Use a lathe.
Okay.
Anything else?
The original was 78, is that right?
What?
The original was 78?
Yeah, the original was on these primitive 78 players and they rarely work. At least I've never seen one that works.
So
They usually
now
lock
it
up.
plays 45s now?
Yeah, now it plays 45.
Okay.
Wait a second, how do you get the amperage to work? Because the old ones would be a static cartridge, and that generates a lot more voltage than the 45 cartridge.
Well, that's easy to do. Just modify the circuitry to accommodate the voltage output of the ceramic cartridge, which is about 1.5 volts. So you just put in a little T network, solution solved.
Cool.
Thank you, Sonny.
So I'm stretching the concept of military radio light. This is a Echophone EC1 that I actually picked up sale. The issue is this is
we had a, back in November with the celebration, we had some morale radios. And those were generally things built under contract for the military. This, however, was not, and made by Hallicrafters under the Echophone label. And it got around, it's interesting, as we were talking about with the keys, about how consumer production of radios and other things were curtailed during war. Somehow or other, Hallicrafters able to kind of weasel around this. How they managed their come around on this, I don't know, but they had it so they could produce this and have it sold directly to military personnel. Or they could, a family member could order it and have it sent to the person in the Army or Navy. And so it was done that way. In fact, they had this marketing campaign where they had, you come up later and see this, they had this guy, this really goofy looking, nerdy guy with big Coke bottle glasses called Private Hogarth, who always had babes around him all the time. And then like this one, it says, there wasn't anything interesting in these islands until you arrived with your Echophone EC1. Yeah. And this is actually one of the, there's actually some of these, the girls are very scantily dressed. So I don't know about you, but I have not found a radio like this to be a baby magnet. But that was their main thing. They produced these, and actually they sold from 1995, which back in 41, the private's monthly salary was around $50. So they were quite affordable if you weren't blowing it at bar or sending it home. So you could afford these, and they were actually fairly popular, and ultimately it became the basis for some of the other Hallicrafters after the war. This went through a couple of iterations. There was the EC1A and B, and then 1B got rebadged to Hallicrafter after the war, and it was the F41. And then the whole F38 series after that were all basically based on it's a A5 ACDC radio. It does have an additional 12J5 oscillator for a BFO, so you can receive code with that. In fact, there's actually a way that you can plug in a key into the phone jack, put it onto code, and you can practice your Morse code. So it's an interesting little thing. Just it actually performs reasonably well. It's nice little thing. But you know, just the idea of how they are marketing the things and the attraction to me.
Would you mind asking some questions? Anybody have questions? All right, thanks everyone for participating in the feature.
When did you want to do this?
Let's do one. Let's do one right now.
Okay, everyone, check your tickets.
Want to go grab? Pick somebody. Have it grab them.
Oh, okay.
Grab one out of there.
Well, no peeking.
It's for your choice of the hats.
Don Tippin. Hey.
Don Tippin.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Thank you.
The hats are back there. Your choice between the blue or the tan.
50th anniversary hats.
What do you want to do next one?
I would just do it right now.
Okay, check your tickets some more.
Yeah. Somebody else could grab it. Or
Oh,
you can have Mike. Good. Go ahead. Sonny, do it.
Yeah.
You got to grab a.
Well, you have to grab one. As long as you don't grab.
Yeah, you can grab your own.
Well.
As long as you don't look.
Mr. Batu, it's 775.
Was there a name on the back? Sometimes there is.
Oh. Franklin.
Oh.
All right. All right.
All righty. Thanks, everybody.
All right, that is the end of the monthly feature. Remember, we have to vote for these. And so I was asked last time how we wanted to vote. And I thought what was fair is write it on a piece of paper. And somebody says, why don't we do a show of hands? You know, like you go, you know, like, well, how do they used to, what game show was that where they clapped and the person with the most claps won?
I don't want.
So do you guys want to do the clapping method? No, we have a. So.
Applause meter.
We need applause meter. I thought that the applause thing could be subjected to
Louder people.
outside interference, you know, people hooting and yelling and stuff. So what we could do is just go ahead and put a piece of paper out there and then you could just vote for which one you wanted. So
Got a number?
well, how many are there officially? 1, 2, 3.
I think that should be all on this one.
Dan, this is all yours right here? So it's basically 1, 2, 3, is that what it is? Three of them, okay. Let me grab a piece of paper here and we'll probably have a short intermission.
And we can do it at the end. We can do it
At
at
the
the
end?
yeah. We just put it down and then everybody went before we.
Well, we probably have a couple minutes for the setup for the tech talk, is that true? A couple minutes? So we could go ahead and vote now. How much time do you need for preparation? Couple minutes? 2 or 3 minutes? Okay, I guess we got time now or
Okay, there
after
you go.
the presentation.
But that sounds great.
So once again, this is lot number 1. Is that true, Dan? From this whole table right here is 1. Okay, this is number 1. And this is number 2, from here to here, and this is number 3. So go ahead and make your votes. Cast your votes before the tech talk.
Also, we're taking offers on those 2.
Oh,
Right.
yes, are both of them military? We're still taking bids on those 2 military equipment pieces back there. Next month, I thought it was communication, is that true? You have to look at the roster.
We're just taking offers. Just any board member you can offer them, and then we'll say it at the end. Roy got a $25 offer on that one.
25 on the phone.
And this one. Mhm. No offer on that one unless you want to make one. Start at $1. That thing's heavy, isn't it?
I've been wanting, it's really, my dad put in B-17.
Oh, really?
That radio is in B-17.
Wow, that's crazy. That's very cool.
No sneaking around.
Even if you just had the front of it, right? It's like good display piece.
I would say 5.
Okay.
Build a whole new room.
Yeah, there you go. Pat, you want to write down the offers we're getting on those? You got a piece of paper? We got it. What was your name again? Mike. Mike's got a $5 offer on that one. Why don't you put a piece of paper out there and we can just take offers on them?
Yeah.
Just an open bid one. Bid sheet. I didn't bring any. There should be bid sheets in there actually.
There you go.
There you go. Let you guys write them down.
Yeah, look what I have on my phone.
There's a big car.
We've decided to put bid sheets out there, so just go ahead and write your name and your bid on there so we can get them out. Yeah, yeah. Somebody could outbid you.
Oh.
But, yeah.
I'll call it this one.
Didn't we have a drawing for that?
Yeah, I got it.
Sure. That's right, we had 2 drawings.
Yeah.
Who's over there?
We also have them for sale too. I think they're like 16. I don't know how much they are. I should find out. $16. I think that's what we paid for them. Crazy, but pretty cool.
Eventually I'll buy one.
If you don't win one,
Yeah, when one.
keep trying to win one. Don't need another one? Another boat anchor? What'd you need four? You make it even number.
Got two nationals and
What'd you do with those dictaphone recorders? You sold them? Wow. Awesome. You found somebody that wanted them, huh? Needed them. Awesome.
they were just too big for my.
How much did they were like 80 pounds, right?
Each.
That's crazy. I'm glad you found a home for them.
Had to stand.
Yeah, nice. That was a nice little cart.
Guy looked at that and said, "Oh, yeah, take that."
Cool. That's good to know. I didn't hate to see him going to recycling. That's the thing. Yeah.
Well, the guy wanted to get rid of it. He wanted to come over pieces. And I said, I only have $20. So he said, this, we gotta get these out of the house. You can have both for $20.
$10 a piece.
Yeah. I told him for it.
Good. Good. I'm glad.
See you there. We were bigger than I thought. When I got up home, it seemed like they got bigger. Took them in the house.
There you go. Probably, would you mind grabbing that backpack and putting that on my chair here? If you put it between the two posts that sit up there, like the backpack, one on each side, so it hangs in the middle. Lamps are in the way. You take down the lamps off there. Oh, they got to be up at the top. That's why. Yeah, put them all the way up at the top. So pull them down to the very top of that. Keep your hand on this. Oops, I just dropped my hand. Put your hand on this side, and then hold them like that. There you go. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm gonna take off, so I'll see you there.
All righty, you take care. Good seeing you, Robbie.
Yeah, I'll pick up the cake.
Cool. You bet. I'll see you next week or next month.
Well, it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a bid on those, Mike? You got a bid on those, Mike?
No, not me, Frank.
A little on the
I don't
heavy.
have enough stuff, room for the stuff.
I know what you mean.
I spent the last 2 weeks kind of, compressed stuff.
Oh yeah, did you?
Recycle, and it's not.
It doesn't look any bigger.
No, it doesn't look.
Well, you got to make it more of a mess before you can clean up the mess, right? That's the way it works with me.
I've certainly done that part.
Oh yeah,
It's never ending.
I know how much stuff we've picked up over the years. It's crazy, isn't it?
Crazy. But at the time I thought it was valuable, so apparently.
Yeah.
But I guess the good news is, like, I look at it second time now, and some of it I'm ready to let go of.
Yeah.
I got a nice recycling pile.
Oh yeah.
So the next trash bash, I'm gonna go a whole bunch.
You've been a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to.
It's good.
Yeah, it's all good. Yep.
Man, one guy said, came out of a World War II bomber, feet 20 million. One of them.
The black one.
Yeah, that's.
Pardon me?
The black one. The other one is supposed to be a spy radio. Actually, was part of this CIA or something like that. No, the other one. Yeah, so it's a real radio. They got all excited about it. And it's got like 30 tubes in it, something like that. I mean, I don't know nothing about it other than what people say, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But that's what they said.
The military spice.
Yep.
It's my father's job during the war was to repair radios on P-51.
Wow.
Every time they'd land on
They wrecked the radios?
the deck, the radio would break. You take it out, yeah. A mountain on these things.
Oh,
Oh. Yeah.
can imagine it. Right here. Hi.
If that's going on the green table.
Hi, you can just set it right here on this with these other ones.
Hey, wait a minute. No, I've got a radio exactly like that. Yeah. Exactly like this. Uh-huh.
What's the front of it look like?
Yes. I've got the exact same radio, but it's like different, coloring.
Let me go get Pat.
Mine actually
Pat. Patrick. Yes. The lady's here with the radio. She's gonna donate it. Yeah, it's in the tub, but I gotta vote. Did you vote? That's the one. Did you vote? Yes, get a vote. Vote one. No.
That is one.
Vote one on that number one. You want to make sure you do it again too, just to make sure. Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I found you.
Well, thank you so much for donating it. We sure appreciate it.
You know, I don't want to. Send it over here.
I
I was gonna take.
Do I get to say hello?
You can say hello. Yeah, that's cutie. That's cutie. She'll give you a paw.
Smell my dog.
Yeah, she does. You can tell.
Yeah, you are.
So you should give you a paw. Thank you again.
Hey, wait a minute.
What's the screen?
It's not a bomber person.
Wait a minute. Mark that lives on, Mark that lives in Hawaii likes to know, because he's got the Regina books.
Yeah, but we can find out from probably Blake. Who was being the person? There's no.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been doing all that.
Good morning. How many of you want to learn about turbo encabulators today?
Whatever that is.
Turbo.
What do you think it's
Made up.
Come on
Made
up
up.
and we'll start with.
It was made up.
We'll start with
Joke.
our
It's a joke.
background, the converter detector or the converter or the front end or whatever you want to call it. Just give you guys a couple of minutes. And I'm going to make the same plea that Franklin did. If you're part of the class, pay attention. If you're not, please keep conversations down to the room. Allows those conversations to travel right on up front. And as much as I know how you're first detector. All right. I have a couple of upfront questions for the group. How many of you are currently working on a radio of some sort? I'm really glad to hear that. How many of you are working on an All-American 5 or All-American 6 or something like that? Just finished. Just finished. Well, you can leave now. Okay. I brought the board up. I'm gonna set it up in a little while. If anybody wants to come up and look at it and talk a little bit more with a picture in tandem of what we've got up here and talk about today. But we started off, does anybody remember the first class that Mike McCrow and I did in this series? This is a memory test.
Safety.
Wow, who said safety? I did. All right, absolutely. Why do you think we did that first?
You don't want to kill off your students.
That's right. We value our audience. So we have spent the better part of 2 years rolling through the radio on and off again between auctions and other people's programs and whatnot. We're finally getting to the last section of the radio. Where do you think we are in our series of conversations about the All-American 5? Do you think we're 3/4 of the way? Do you think we're 5/6 of the way, 9/10 of the way?
It's
Yes, that's actually where we are. We're about halfway. But what's really cool is the stuff that comes after this is the meat of what you do at the bench. So once we get done with the 2 sections on this, you can't, and the first detector or the converter circuit is probably the most feared of all the parts of the radio. And I think I know why. It's nothing to do with too many coils in the circuit. But there are so many variations that we can't cover in the conversation. So today we're going to talk about the basics of what a converter is, what it does, how it works. And then we're going to follow that up possibly next month about the variations of what you'll find in your radio. And then we'll get more into hints on things to do and how to do it. There are several pieces of test equipment that are very valuable to have working in a circuit. Anybody tell me what tool you use or what pieces of equipment you use when you're working on converters? DTVM, yep, that's a good thing to have.
It has to be, yeah, because it's listed.
Yes, you do have to have high coupling. Okay. It as to appear as it's not even there. And a lot of our meters, how many of you have Simpson 260s? Those load the circuit down pretty good. Your oscillator will see some function if you try to use something like that. You really need it. What else can we use in it?
Signal generator.
Signal generator is a very important thing to have. And if you don't have one, you're probably not going to be successful in troubleshooting. What else do I use in it? Oscilloscope, if you have one. Is it absolutely necessary to have an oscilloscope to work on no, it's not. How about some unconventional? Isolation transformer, going back to safety. But there's one piece that everybody forgets, is a universal oscillator checker. Does anybody know what another name for that is? Another radio. My favorite is a little transistor radio. And I've had people open up the door and they look down there, and there's a little Motorola from about 1968. This is, what's that? It's the universal oscillator checker. And it works very, very well. It's insulated, it's isolated, and it doesn't miss many working oscillators. So if you don't have a transistor radio in your collection, I advocate you get one. I actually have a Sony and I like it a little better because the tracking one is better than the old Motorola. But have one, you can use them to identify the radio station you're listening to. That helps with tracking. But more than anything else, we're going to talk today about heterodyning principle, and that heterodyning principle makes it possible to use our transistor radio as a piece of test. So let's go ahead and get started. The things I'm going to cover today are all but the last one. We are going to talk about the purpose of the converter and the 4 functions that it performs. And then we're going to talk about the superhand principle, because if you don't understand that, you won't understand how the converter works. And we'll talk about the All-American 5 converter circuit and maybe get into the fact that there's a lot of parts missing from a conventional converter circuit in a transformer set. Why do you think there's parts missing? We get away without them and we're able to make them work well enough. Then we'll talk about the converter parts and pieces, those things that make the converter a little scary to work on. Typical values and voltages, and then a little bit on the troubleshooting. Will probably be kind of light in the last 2, the values of troubleshooting. We can save those for next time when we get into the variations. Who can tell me some of the variations that we have in the front end of these All-American 5 radios? Oh, yeah, in the All-American 5, there were differences in converter, the integrated converter circuits, or the first detector, whatever you call it. Can have different tubes. You're using a lockable set, you can be looking at 14Q7 versus A6S A7. Okay, see if anybody had that. Push buttons can be unique because push buttons can be either electronic push buttons or they can be mechanical. How many of you know what a permeability tuned radio is? Oh, yeah, Brian knows what those are. We got rid of the most expensive component left in the radio, which is the gang tuner, and we replaced it with a couple of cardboard cores with wires wrapped around it. And so the whole thing is slugged in. Those present an interesting problem. Trying to get the string lengths just right so that they come in and out of the cores together, because you're operating 2 sets of cores, just like you are in a regular radio. You're tuning them with the variable oil now instead of variable capacity. Okay.
Don't car radio, they are.
Some of them are. Yeah, I'm working on a radio right now that is the bane of my existence, has been for a while. It is permeability. That's the slugs. I've got a Philco sitting on the bench right next to it. It's got a 3-gang capacitor. It's got a tuned RF front end, and it's pretty high radio. So yes, they were very popular there. They were real popular in the really cheap sub-$10 sets. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into it. We always throw the schematic for an All-American 5 You may remember that we started, this has got a pointer built into it. We started down here with power supply, and from there we moved up to the amplifier, audio amplifier. Then we moved over and talked about the second detector. Actually, I think we moved to the SK7. We talked about the IM. Then we went to the second detector, and now we're back in the very front end of the radio. So this is where it is. And after we're done today, we'll have greened out all of the schematic and we'll be to the end of the sections of the radio. So what is the purpose of the converter? Well, again, I've called it the front end. I call it the first detector. Converter is probably a better name for it because in essence, it converts the incoming signal from the radio station into a lower frequency at the IF frequency. Why do we want to operate at a lower frequency? There are two things achieved by using the super heterodyne principle. One is to break the frequency down to around half or even less. Okay. The other has to do with selectivity. If you've got a TRF, you realize they tune pretty broad. Super heterodynes tend to be pretty sharp, which is nice because if you've got a station on at 910 and another one on at 970, and oh yeah, a powerhouse down to 860, sometimes a little tough to pull those apart with a TRF, not with the super heterodyne. But why do we want to operate at IF frequencies? A couple of reasons. Anybody know? Tubes work better at lower frequencies. So did transistors when they first came out. How many of you remember car radios that had one transistor nailed to the front of the radio and 5 tubes in the backside? And dancing those. My 57 Chevy radio working on right now has one of those too. The transistor was always used in the audio and not for any of the RF stuff because they really weren't very efficient. And neither would tubes when they started. Does anybody know when the super heterodyne principle was invented?
1918.
Wow, 18, 19, 27, 24, or 21.
Armstrong
Invented it in the teens, late teens. Where we saw it come into vogue, we saw it in the experimenters started playing with them in the 20s, 1923, 1924. I've got articles from 1924 for super heterodyne radios, but yeah.
Actually, as it turns out, I bought a early radio like that. Second, do a research on it. It was 1923 or 4, and you could build your own out of this magazine article.
Yeah.
And the IF frequency was 45 kilohertz.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that they did that was because the tubes would amplify those RF signals, like you said, at that higher frequency. But also the IF cores amplified best at a narrow frequency. So if they tuned everything to amplify
Yes, and they did that later on too. 455. If you were to look at the stage gains of these radios, RCA is really good about putting schematics. You'll see that the IF is for most of the amplification RF section occurs. But yeah, that's a good point. So yes, setting a fixed frequency to the amplify around, you can tune the amplifier to its peak performance. And I one superhet that I built from 1924 schematic, it was 90 kilohertz.
Oh, okay.
So 45, 90, 120, 170. They're all over the place. And they finally kind of settled down. By the time we get to the All American 5, which is the subject here, most of the radios were 455, give or take maybe 20. And 90% of them were 455 because the manufacturing standardized on parts. So we down convert them because tubes are more efficient at lower frequencies. And that was the whole idea. But the theoretical engineering principle behind it was to increase the selectivity. It is often considered to be the most complex portion of the radio. It scares people. Oh, geez, is it the oscillator? I've heard that all the time. Oh my God, I hope it's not the oscillator. This section has a lot of components in it that might seem scary, but it really is, it's a pair of amplifiers. One of the amplifiers amplifies and the other one has feedback, so it oscillates. Then they shoved it in one too. The fact that it does have an IF primary that it's attached to, and it has an antenna coil or possibly loop coming in, and it has another oscillator coil in it. And then, oh gosh, since I have this tuning thing with plates in it that always seem to bend and get rusty and dirty and nasty inside. And next time we will talk about some of the techniques that will allow you to correct those. And there's really interesting techniques. How many of you were part of Remember WR though? I learned so much from the 30 or 40 instructors that I had in the garage. They taught me a lot of things, and one of them was some unique ways to deal with little capacitor plates that like to rub against each other. And we'll actually talk about some of that stuff in the next chat. But it's not really that daunting. It really is just an amplifier, and it's just an oscillator. The other thing that makes it maybe a little daunting is the darn thing does 4 things. If you've ever looked at the tube, which we will, it's got grids used as plates, it's got primary grids in the middle of the package, it's got all sorts of weird stuff. But aside from all that, it does 4 things. It tunes and amplifies the signal coming in from the radio station. It comes in, we amplify it. Sometimes it's just a little bit of amplification because we might have an All-American 6 that has an RF stage that does the same thing. And those come in 2 flavors. They come in tuned and untuned. Does anybody know how to tell if you've got a tuned RF amplifier or not? Yeah. When you look at the gain capacitor, it's got 3 sections. That 3rd section is for tuning the radio station. If it only has 2 and it has an RF tube in it, usually another 12SK6, by the way. Typically, it's the same tube as the IF tube. Why don't they go with some of the better tubes like the 12SG7 or something like that? Yeah, they're cheap. If I'm going to buy 100,000 tubes, I'd rather buy 200,000 and get a better deal than buy 2 different kinds of tubes. So again, we've talked about All-American 5s being pretty cheap, but they're pretty good performers for something that's cheap. It also generates an unmodulated. What is unmodulated? No information, just the carrier. Okay, so it produces an unmodulated RF signal of its own. What do we call that signal? Local oscillator. Okay, local oscillator, by the way, does just that. It is a local oscillator. It is also oscillating most of the time inside the package that we call the AM band, which means you can listen to it with what? Your little transistor, you can hear it. Okay. It also has a Sunbeam smoothie maker in the middle of it. I think most of you refer to that as the mixer. And it mixes those signals together. So that's the 3rd thing that it does. Not really an amplifier, not really an oscillator, but it does introduce 2 signals that like to mix it up inside the tube. And then it maintains a constant frequency difference between that received signal coming in out of the ether, which is your radio station, and that local oscillator. And that is what develops the heterodyne, or part of the super heterodyne principle that we use in this particular circuit.
Listen.
Right. So let's talk about this simple heterodyne. How many of you have ever flown in a twin engine propeller? All right, what happens when the engines get out of sync? Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, the only time I ever did that was when I was a junior in high school. I got to go do firefighting. I was an amateur radio operator. They called up the amateur radio corps for that. And a corporal came into class in full uniform and had me dismissed from my Latin class. That was good. And when I walked up to see what he wanted, he said, no, bring your stuff with you. You're not coming back. And the whole class, whoa. And I didn't. I was going for a week. But they put me on they took me home, gave me 20 minutes to gather my stuff up, terrified my mom that I was leaving. And I took me out to the airport and fly on a DC-3 or a C-47. That was cool. And what was in the front seat was this old codger who slept most of the time, except when the young kid let the engines get out of sync, and then he got a thorough chewing and balancing where he had it. Man, it sounded like something was going on between those two engines. That is the same thing. You have two engines droning at a certain RPM, and the fact that they're tied to a common chassis, they resonate together. And when they get out of resonance, there's actually 4 drones there. There's the drone of the left engine, there's the drone of the right engine. There is the sum of the drones put together, and there's the difference. And if it's high enough frequency, you're probably not going to hear the sum of the two. But you are going to hear that difference. It just takes a little bit. I can bring a pair of oscillators up here, feed it into a little bit amplified speaker, and I can demonstrate the same thing. I probably will next time, because it's a cool concept. What's really cool is when you can get the frequency such that you can hear all 4 of them. Kind of hard to hear the 2 primaries because they're pretty close together, but you can definitely hear the higher one and the lower. Then it really sinks in. Yeah, there's 4 frequencies there. But I have an incoming signal, and here I've labeled this one. I like Como out of Seattle. Can I get a number in any of my radios? No. But does anybody know why I like Como so well? No, because it's 1,000. It's 1 megahertz on the dial, and it makes the math so much easier. So I'm listening to Como, and Como has something on here, whether it's a commercial or whether it's Glenn Beck or the news, primarily a lot of news on it. That is the information that we embed on the carrier signal. So while the carrier is 1,000, and that's what they tune on the radio, there's also an audio component that's embedded within it. Right? And when we don't have it embedded, that's called there. It's still got carrier signal audio. Last I heard, you can only have 3 minutes of that before you get to write a letter to the FCC and tell them why. But I have 1 megahertz or 1,000 kcs or 1,000 kilohertz, plus an audio component coming in. Part of my converter tube is the Great Mix Master. I was encouraged to put a mixer in there, but I didn't ground it. So you see, here's my smoothie. You also got a local oscillator down here that is oscillating at some frequency. I didn't tell you what it's oscillating at, so I also can't tell you what the IF frequency is. But what comes out of the Great Mix Master, called the converter tube, is 1,000 kcs and the local oscillator. The sum of the 2 and the difference. And what comes out of the IF transformer? If it's the 455 is the IF, 455 comes out. What happens to the other 3? Okay. Some components of might be true, but what happened to the audio? It's still there because it got mixed in with the other 4. So in truth, what's coming out is 1,000 kc plus audio, local oscillator plus audio, and it embeds itself in some of the differences as well, which is very important because if we take the 455 without content, we're not going to hear a lot from that radio. So, all right. Somewhere I set down my clicker materials. So if I decide to go to 455, if this is what I'm expecting to get out, then my local oscillator is going to be what? Can anybody tell me? What's that oscillator, local oscillator going to be producing in this case right here? 1,000 coming in, 455 coming out, 1455, that's right. Right? So what's coming out of it is 1,000, 1455, 2455, and 455. 3 of them get dumped in favor of keeping lower frequency. And that heterodyne principle is how we break frequency down. Okay. What happens this is what we would call a single conversion radio. What happens, have anybody seen double and triple conversion radios? I am willing to bet that radio back there on the left is either double or triple conversion. I believe those were triple. We just do it 3 times. And we might only do it 3 times on higher frequencies, where it makes sense to break it down once and then break it down again. Okay. What about FM radios? What is the IF there? 10.7, there's a lot of breaking down there because you're bringing 100 megahertz down to 10. So again, they all work the same way. Yeah.
What's the reason for multiple conversions?
Typically, efficiency of the tubes and the selectivity on the upper bands. That radio back there, that's dual conversion. It's probably dual conversion on higher frequency bands. The AM band is probably still single. So if we take a look at the All-American 5 detector section, here's our great mix master. Too many grids in there to mess around with. I like it better when there's only one or two. But the pentagrid converter, which is very popular, which is what the 12 SA7 is, needs all those grids because we're going to use them all in all of these different functions we do too. For instance, between the cathode and pin 5, and then looking up to the next pin above that, we actually convert one of the grids to a plate for the oscillator. And so you'll notice that the input from the loop up here doesn't go into the bottom grid, does it? Okay, that's always a tension for me. And it's same is true for a 6A8 or 6 SA8 or sorry SA7. Those come into the middle grid as well. We're using the bottom grids for the oscillator, and we're using the pin 8 on this one here is what we refer to as the input grid or the signal grid. So the signal's coming in on pin 8. The oscillator on this one is coming in on pin 5, and the mixing is happening there. There's also a feedback loop in this as well that we'll get into in a few minutes that allows the oscillation to take place. What is it that keeps this thing in sync such that no matter where I tune the radio, it always comes out 455? What is it that keeps those two linked together?
Whatever two.
Why? It's the mechanical shaft in the gang. The gangs does it. So I had a lot of people ask me, well, it says here, and I'll read the book, it says here that it keeps the thing consistent, it keeps it locked in. What part of the tube does that? It does. It's the shaft of the gang. And it's important that some of these adjustments be made properly, or they won't, and you'll have tracking problems. How many of you have had a radio that it's great at the top end? You know, 1450 was at 1450, 1190 was at 1180. But when you got down around 600, it's just, you know, 590 was carrying 620, and that was huge graduations. Okay. That's a tracking issue, and that's in the oscillator. How many of you have never had a radio that, like the radio stations were like portable and they would walk down the dial? Okay, drift. That's an oscillator function. And I can't tell you how many tubes I've had over my career in radios that the tube checker says they're fine. 78% oscillator. Damn, that's good. Put it in the radio, and the radio station plays for 2 or 3 minutes, and then it starts getting fuzzy. And if you walk away and go get a beer and mow the lawn and come back, you can move it out. Okay, that's an oscillator function. So wherever your radio stations appear on the dial and where your oscillator is oscillating are tied directly. Got a number of components up here. This one's got voltages on it. We can expect somewhere in the realm of 90 to about 107. Does anybody remember how much voltage we have to play with in an AC/DC radio tops? Absolute tops. No, it's higher than that. About 120. Now, if I've got a pardon? Yes. And DC is going to be less. If you have larger caps in it, you can exceed 120, but I've seen them early. And there are some rectifier tubes and capacitor setups that in a doubling circuit, and you can get 180 volts out of it. Zenith love to use that. I think it's a 35Z6 or a 35Z4. It wasn't the 35Z5, which has a single plate in it. You need two. You need a double rectifier or a full rectifier to do voltage doubling. But we're not going to get into that here because these are our basic All-American 5. This radio claims to have about 107 volts playing down there on the plate. You can also see that on the oscillator grid 5. If I don't have 105 volts there, or 90 volts, or 97 volts, or whatever the radio claims to have at that point, then you don't have any oscillation going on. Next time I'm gonna put that stupid clicker on a lanyard. All right. Second detector and ABC components. Why do I have the ABC? Well, didn't we do the ABC already? What's happening here? Why is my, actually it's first detector, I'm sorry, that's wrong too. Why do I have ABC noted on my first detector, my converters? Anybody know? What does the converter deliver to the ABC circuit?
And the DC voltage negative for feedback.
The answer, you're on the right path, but the answer is does deliver. It's the other way around. The ABC is delivering that slight negative voltage. And look where it's coming from. The ABC feed is down here. Coming from the ABC, it comes up through the secondary of the IF coil. This goes to the grid of the IF tube, and it also comes over here through the loop and back into the primary grid, even though it's not on the bottom of the converter tube. And what happens there is that on a strong signal, the ABC sends some voltage down the line. It goes to the grid of both the IF tube and the converter tube, and it brings them back down on the amplification scale. I made a term yesterday, used somebody called numbing the first two tubes. And I got a question on that. Basically what you're doing is sliding it down the amplification. You're turning the faucet off on the two grids, which reduces the amount of amplification on a powerful station. That's how the radio is able to make weak stations and really powerful ones play roughly the same volume. Yes, sir.
How long is the wire in the loop?
About from you to me. And then they roll it all up.
You have to make another one day.
Yeah, and that is an interesting question. It depends on the kind of loop you have. Some of them are an antenna loop. Most of them in these All-American 5s are part of the antenna input, and they are part of a tune system. So anything that is outside of the proper inductance, and the inductance is related by length by wonderful mathematical calculation that we will not be getting into. That will allow the designer to do that. Because if you look at loops, some of them are bigger than others, some of them are smaller, and it'd be kind of fun to everybody bring their loop and look it up to demonstrator and see how they perform.
So it's not simply a matter of figuring out the wavelength and cutting a piece that way.
No. It is related to the wavelength, but it's more related to the rest of the circuit. Okay, that loop sits in here, and this is your main tuning capacitor. I'm sorry, that's the trimmer. This is the main tuning capacitor here. This is the shaft that keeps everything coordinated, and this is an LC circuit. So it is important. I can tell you that you can put any loop you want to on there, but you will not likely get the best performance you could. And these loops come in two forms. Some of them have 2 wires, some of them have 4. Anybody know why some loops have 4 wires?
Different bands.
It's like a transformer, and it's used to do what?
Bring in the external antenna.
Bring in the external antenna so you can influence it with a little bit more. Okay. All right. One of the techniques I have to see if my antenna coil is working, if it has an antenna coil and just a long wire, or if the loop is working. All you have to do is put your hand over the top of the variable capacitor, and if you put your hand over the variable capacitor, the radio leads to life. Something's wrong in your antenna. You've got it all. You've done the alignment on it. You may see a little bit of influence, but not very much.
Okay.
Okay, that would be these. Next time I do that, somebody says, "Don't put that in your pocket." So the converter tube itself is a 12S87, it's the most common. If you're working on the older sets, if it's newer, you're gonna have the newer one, which would be a 12 EE6 miniature tube. If you're working on a lot, they're typically the 14%. Okay, not to say a lot about these tubes. Most of the time I tell you, the tubes are not problematic, these are. And where you get bit is when you put it in the tube checker, it says, it's good. You pull it out, put it in the radio, and it doesn't work. Okay, please remember this is a two-part tube. There should be two tests with it. And in my experience, the oscillator side of the tube is always weaker than the amplifier side. So expect that. It's not a problem as long as it's not down in the mud or the radio doesn't drift. And again, I have tested these on a tube checker and seen them to be perfectly adequate for putting in a radio and not work. What's the best solution to that? Have another tube handy. I at my house have a little piece of 2x4 that I found scrap, and I took a bit and actually ground 5 holes where the tubes all slide in. The glass envelopes or metal envelopes slide in. So if I need a tube, they're always right there. Nail it to the wall. I need 12 SA7 as the top. I need a 35 Z5 as the bottom. And always nice to have one. But if you put it in and the radio works, that doesn't mean that you leave it in the radio. You put it back and get a spare one. So you need 2 spare, one for a test set, one for when your tubes are bad. Okay, this tube again can be problematic, especially the oscillator side, and you can get everything from a non-working radio to one that drifts, to one that works on the high end of the dial but doesn't work on the bottom end of the dial. They present all sorts of fun things. Most of the problems you will run into in this circuit, because it's not a terribly high voltage circuit, is in the tube. Okay? These are available as a glass tube or as a metal tube. Very often it's glass tube with a shield around it. It needs to be grounded. And 12SA7, probably the only tube I know of in an All-American 5, is also available in the GT style. That can be problematic if the things don't fit in the cabinet. I tend to covet my metal ones because sometimes metal shields are missing in this way, and I've got my metal shield built in. Okay. Some of the other components that we find in the inverter circuit, we find IF coils. I put my very favorite ones down here. I love these, don't I, Ed?
Yeah.
Yep. And what goes wrong with the bottom ones, if those of you have been in class before? Silver mica disease. Is it really silver mica disease? No, it's silver mica oxide disease. And I tried something on the radio the other day, and I was impressed with what it did, but I'm not sure how long it lasts. How many of you are familiar with deoxin? Somebody said, well, if you've got silver oxide disease, spray some deoxin at the bottom of the radio and watch what happens. You know what? The static went away, the radio started to play. I don't know if I did something wrong the first time the static, one of them came back. So we gave it a second bath of deoxin and we went back to playing again. So I don't know if this is probably a cheap fix, but just something I'll share with you. We've got oscillator coils. These guys here, okay? Oscillator coils come in many different types. They come in 4-wire, 3-wire, 5-wire. Some of them have what's called a gimmick on them, which is a piece of wire. Try to connect. You can't check the connectivity on it because it goes down and wraps around in dead ends. Some of them are taps, some of them are not, some of them are transformers. So they come in all shapes and flavors. And we'll talk more about those next time. And we've also got the antenna. Notice the antenna coil has got 2 coils on it. And it's a characteristic usually easy to see on these. And then we've got the loop antenna. Okay. I went looking for a picture of a loop antenna to include in this. And every one I found, they put their watermarks on, so I'll take a picture of my own. But if you ever need a coil, by the way, I have a box of them, probably close to 40, and they're all popular Philco RCA, stuff like that. So if you go a short one, very often you get the radio without the back tape coil. Let me know. Happy to share those. Hopefully at least 3 of them so I can get the box shut. So this is what I think really scares people. Is these and the gang capacitor, which has all those plates on it. And it seems like the further we went, the closer and closer together those plates got. And the easier it was to damage them. Does anybody know what the term cut plate means? If you've got a capacitor in your radio, they're either going to be cut plates or non-cut plates. The cut plates one contain a smaller capacitor in the front or in the rear. That's always your oscillator. So if you've got 2 different size sets of plates on the gang tuner, those smaller ones are the oscillator. Some of those plates have little slices cut in. Does anybody know what those are for? It's not air cooling, I'll give you a hint. You can bend them. You can screw them up on your own on purpose. Okay. Why are those there? They were cheaper than putting a pattern in. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Most of these All-American 5s have a trimmer cap in them. You make an adjustment at 14 or 1500 kilohertz, and you call it good. Well, what happens if you get down to 620 and it's at 580? Well, then you can start to bend these little sections of plates out, and they're usually in quarters, so you can bend out the last quarter, which would be the lower end, and that's how you make those adjustments. I have 2 words of advice: if it's close enough, don't. If it's not close enough, be really, really careful. Because you can do just reaching in and grabbing one of the plates will help you bend the next one too. These things were so inexpensive. It's easy. Those things are easy to damage. Okay? I had a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention names because I think he's still a member here. Doesn't attend, but he brought over radio, and he was working on something on his workbench. He dropped like a 10-inch press wrench. And it fell right on the gang tuner, and at full capacity brought it over to me, and it's like not a chance. We'll go find another. Okay, so those are the other components in here. What I failed to get in this picture, of course, was the gang tuner, but there's a lot of components in here that just scare people. They usually are fine in All-American 5. If it hasn't been for physical damage or shorted capacitors or too much current going through something, they're usually okay. One place to look for them is if you have an oscillator coil that is out and you choose to rewind it. Back, so I hear that, but I hear people out there go, those are the ones who tried. If you do that, check the coil. And right where it connects to the wire comes down, which is about the size of human hair or smaller, and it makes a connection. Very often, they will strip that back a little bit, and the area that is not encapsulated in solder, but is bare, will get a little bit of rust disease break right there. And it's pretty easy. Scrape it with a scalpel or sandpaper, whatever your choice is for doing it, and then you resolder it. You have to rewind the whole thing. I have rewound probably 3 dozen Philco oscillators out of the old radios. And it is 27 turns counterclockwise looking from the base. And if you get it 27 turns clockwise looking from the base, it will not work. It's a phased device. If you do hook them up, my word of advice to you is make the wires a little longer than you need to have them, so that when you figure out that you wound it backwards, you can reverse the 2 wires and move forward.
Oh, that's what they used to sell replacements.
Yes, they did. I don't use those replacements. I got a roll of wire and a lot of patience. But yes, they did used to sell them on quarters and replace them.
Could you speak a little bit to deoxit? There's two different kinds at least, and possibly a third.
There's probably 6 or 8
D5,
different things, but
DN5,
I used two.
D100.
Yeah, I used two. I used the L100 and used D5. D5 is a cleaning agent with 5% of the deoxit product in it. And what's nice about that one is you can spray it into things. The carrier will get 5% of the deoxit where it needs to go. Deoxit is a wonderful product. Don't drench with it. A little bit of deoxit goes in. You find that to be the case. Yeah. Deoxit is the brand or the type. It's made by a company called CAIG. CAIG. And they make a number of products. They make Pro Bowl. They make all sorts of stuff. The stuff that we use in our, and I use personally, is the D5. Comes in a small can for a whole bunch of money. If you get a choice of the one that has the flip up straw like WD-40s, I don't like that. I like the one with the standard nozzle. The standard nozzle on D5 is variable, low to medium, high, go back to low, leave it there. I've actually taken one of the red plastic straws and embedded a hypodermic needle in it, because I want to get even smaller than what that little red hose will give you. The one with the flip up isn't variable. You're on running out of fluid fast position. The other one that I use quite a bit of is D100L. Comes in a little bottle for even more money. It's reddish and it has a needle applicator on the end of it. That is 100% deoxit. There's no carrier in it. When I use that, I use most of my D100L furnishing brush cleaning contact points. I'll make a little tunnel on the workbench and dip it. Do through 2 or 3 of them, clean it every day, go back and do it. Again, little tiny bit goes a long way. A lot of the D100L should last any one of you at least the rest of your life. And at $32 a bottle, sure. And not very many ounces either, but it does well. You bet. Thanks for bringing it up. So, typical values on these, I brought a couple of schematics up. Somebody in here said 90 volts was what you'd expect on the DC. I think that was you. And that's what we see in this this RCA, I believe. The RCA says we've got 90 volts here, and we've got 90 volts up on the plate. And here we've got 107. Can't tell you why, but both of those values aren't as high as what you find in a standard AC radio. AC radios here, you're more likely to find 150, 150, 180. I've got a couple of radios at home that are well over 200 that are in the plate circuit of the inverter and the IF2. This value is pretty universal. I've seen it as low as 20K, and I've seen it as high as 22K, and not much in the 20K. And it will go high and it will go low occasionally, usually high, and that will keep your oscillator from going. Check that. It is reasonably critical, and most of them are 10%. So if you've got one that's measuring 25K, might be in your best interest to go ahead and replace it and check the resistance you're putting in. We're getting into the days now where our IRC stock is starting to age, change value. The Chinese components come pre-age. You never have a clue of where they're going to be. I pulled out a 22K resistor. I was a 33K resistor the other day. It was 52. It's brand new with a little band on it. So beware.
What does that mean?
Well, that means that I should be buying those kind of components. There's no more blue ones off the free table, no matter how. That's right, pre-drifted for your for your entertainment purposes. Get twice as long. Pardon? They were carbon film.
Okay, metal film.
Yeah. Yeah, metal film worked great. It's there's 107 volts there, so it's not a huge amount, but and they will drift. These are not in a high voltage circuit like they would be in the audio section of the radio, but they still drift. Okay. We're going to get more into the how the systems work and more into the values next time. This variable condenser here, this is in the loop in the grid circuits. This is your main tuning capacitor and the trimmer on it. And it almost always has a dotted line over to the oscillator. Here, this one has the rounded loop, has the rounded piece with an arrow on it. This is your main oscillator, and this is the trimmer for it. What you don't see in this one is a pattern condenser. And pattern condenser is in series with the oscillator circuit. Okay, I'm looking for my cup of coffee, it's behind me. In your older radios, let's say it's a 1930, maybe it's a 1930, what are you working on? Yeah, the 38, I think. 38, no, 40, 1940 Zenith. Okay, and it's got a trimmer over in a set of 3 that you adjust at the high end of the dial, and then it tells you 600 and adjust this other thing. Well, the one that is in the circuit, either on the gang tuner or in a separate condenser bank, is the trimmer. It is used for setting high frequency dial setting. It is an oscillator setting. It is in the oscillator circuit. It is located right here. Okay, that will go ahead and get you taken care of on the top end, and for most all American pipes, done. You adjust the antenna trimmer on top, you adjust the oscillator on top, you align the IFs, and voila, you're done. If it's a more sophisticated radio that does have a second trimmer, they're usually located in this line here or in series. It's called a series adjustment or a pattern, and that's what you use at the low end. One thing to be aware of, you don't adjust the high end and then adjust the low end and congratulate yourself for aligning the radio, because when you adjust at the bottom and you pull the top one out, it's toggling. They're playing tug of war. Usually 1 or 2 times a year, okay. Most alignment procedures will tell you to adjust it at 1400 or 1500, adjust it at 600, and go back and check 14. In many radios, you adjust it a little tiny bit, you go back up, and everything's cool. I've had some radios that I've had to adjust 4 or 5 times, or I found that I couldn't align them until I did the pattern. Somebody unscrewed the pattern and tightened it back up and then go back up and the alignment. But they will play tug of war with each other with that. Okay. Let's see what we've got up here to do it. They actually didn't tie it together up here, but here's my loop. This one is a 4-wire loop. And this by itself will operate the radio, but if I have a secondary loop, it will go between here and it'll end up through a capacitor going to the chassis. And you can hook an antenna up to it. These are not necessary unless you want to increase the range. This antenna by itself will suffice for local use and probably work just fine for all of us here. And then the oscillator is down here. This one does not have a line between this capacitor and this capacitor, C2 and C4, but there is very much so one there, and that is the shaft between them. That's what allows the radio to keep 455 coming out as you tune across the dial. Next month, we'll talk about some variations on this theme, but I think if you take this one and digest it, that you'll be plenty ready for next time. Troubleshooting tips. Oh boy, I like this one. We had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in some of the previous ones. This one's got a whole bunch of stuff you need to look for. So always do a thorough visual inspection of the chassis top and bottom. Amazing what you find when you look at these things before you work on them. I wonder where that wire goes. I wonder if all this bird crap in this 2 games. So a good thorough cleaning. This just died. You guys can hear me okay? Okay. Just use your senses. There are what, 8 of them? Plus common makes 8. Okay, little common sense, and smell it, look at it, touch it, feel it. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Clean it and adjust it before you plug the thing in.
What if it smells like turkey?
If it smells like turkey, give it to your next door neighbor. Go get another radio. Okay. Check the mixer for operation. and check the oscillator for operators. Done with a signal generator, if you were a professional. And the way we check to see if the mixer is working, this is fun. See if you can figure this one out. I can inject an IF signal right into the antenna and it'll tell me if the mixer is working.
For BFO.
What's that?
The BFO?
No, BFO board, that's a different thing. But I can put the IF in. And the reason I can is, do you remember in the super heterodyne principle, we said that you had local oscillator in, you had the signal coming in, and then you had the two components. Well, what goes through and into the IF is 455. And this 455 coming into the IF transformer, it doesn't care if it was a primary transformer or one that was made up in the mixer. Because remember, what comes out of the mixer is what's coming out of the antenna. And if you shove 455 into that antenna, it's going to happily go into the mixer, and the mixer is going to happily spit it back out again. And your IF is going to look at it and go, cool, I like 455, head on through. This is also a clue that you can use, and it's not listed up here. You've got to kind of infer it from here. But how many of you have ever had a radio that picked up like one radio station? All the way across. So where was that radio station at?
I don't remember.
Right in the middle of the dial. That'll help you. Probably 860 or 910. And that is because, and we don't discuss it in here, but it's a principle called harmonics. In all of these LC circuits and RC circuits that we have in the radio, they're okay. They're okay with harmonics too. It's like, well, your brother-in-law may not be directly rated. We'll let him come in for Thanksgiving dinner too. And the second harmonic comes through, as does the third harmonic. And if the IF on your radio is 455, the second harmonic of that is, anybody do the math? 910. What's at 910 on the dial in Portland? Our radio station. So that 910 can make its way into the radio. 860 is strong enough in some places that it manages to get in there as well. So you tune it across the radio, it's like, oh, I got a radio station. I've got a radio. The radio's gonna work. I have nothing above it, nothing below it, but I got a radio station right here in the center. That is likely the second harmonic of one of the powerhouses making its way through your radio in an unwanted way. And you will play with that radio and you'll think it's working because if I turn the volume all the way up, I can get 2 or 3 stations all there crammed together. There's got to be something that's keeping the rest of the radio stations out. And it is. It's because you're not heterodyne. You're picking them up on a secondary frequency that's making its way through the radio. If your oscillator is likely dead. Your oscillator was going, that 455 will still come through if you're putting it in primary frequency. So the check for the mixer is to put IF into the tube. And the easiest place to find that is the top of the gang tuner where the loop antenna comes in and attaches. That's where we inject our signals right there. It's easy, it's clean, it's made out of metal, and get my alligator clips on it. And you don't have to go underneath the chassis. If you put 455 in there and it comes out with tone. Happy, mixer's working.
So a good place if you want to keep the items.
Absolutely, absolutely. Put there. And so if you move from 455 to 1000 homo, and your radio doesn't, if the IF comes through, but you changed your oscillator to now 1000, and you tune your radio across it, it's not there, your oscillator's not working. What's another way to check to see if your oscillator's not working? Transistor radio. Okay, just turn it on, put it at about 1500, park it either next to the antenna coil or to the loop or to the actual 12SA72. Tune it, tune your radio across the whole band. And you should somewhere along the way hear the swoop. Now, you're listening for the local oscillator, so there's nothing on it's unmodulated. But you can hear it blot out everything. The radio go absolutely silent. More often than not, as you're tuning the radio and swoop, swoop, you'll know there's something there. And be sure that when you're testing the tube, make sure you test the size of it. I remember WR, I know some of you remember, that was amazing, 11 years. People would test the tube and say, tube checker said it's fine. Did it say it was fine in one place or two? What do you mean? Did check say they have to do? No. Okay, what's the radio doing? What does it play? Put it in a 2-minute radio play. So make sure you check those signs. Okay. Check the loop for continuity. If you have a radio that doesn't work very well, or it has garbled, or it has hum in it, or it's distorted, make sure your loop has continuity through it. If that loop becomes disconnected anywhere on the circuit, it's striking the loop itself or in the connection to the radio. All sorts of weird phenomena. If the radio station drifts, replace the oscillator. Replace the 12SA7, the 12EE6. I found more of the 12SA7s were problematic than the 12EE6s, but I've seen it on both too. Okay. If there is static on the radio, it sounds, wow, it's working. Let me go find a radio station, but they all turn their transmitters off the night you're working on your radio. The other hint is if you're tuning it and it seems to get a little louder when you're at the bottom end of the dial, that's a dead giveaway your oscillator's out. You're picking up whatever's coming into the radio, but you're not heterodyning it, so it's not looking for radio stations in the right place. Okay. Static and cutting in and out of the circuit board and dial. Static crashes, crunchy sounds, dirty caps, dirty gang fingers. I always start my testing on a radio with it completely out. I know that no plates can touch when I'm at 1500. But if you go tuning through it and you hear certain places in the dial, or the second they meet, it cuts out, that's another place to look for problem because you're grounding out the signal. You're sending everything to ground when you do that. And there's nothing there for the rest of the radio to work with. Another place to look if you've got hum or distortion or modulated hum, look for open grid coils, look for shorted AVC caps. In the diagram that we saw before, right where the AVC line went up to the IF transformer over to the converter circuit, there was 0.05 ground. Check those. They typically don't go bad because there's a little tiny bit of voltage there. But some of the companies cheaped out with a really cheap cap in there and they'll fail every time. And the last thing to look for is if you have audio oscillation, and it can vary from to screaming in the speaker, squealing. Look for open bypass caps, both in the plate circuit and the grid circuit. And if those are open or shorted, you can get squeals or dead radio. The nice thing is, when you look at the number of capacitors and resistors that is in the converter circuit, there aren't very many. There's a handful. There's about 5 less components than you find in the average AC radio because they figured out they could do without them and it still worked well enough. So there's not much to check in the systems. I would say all the work I've done, probably come across maybe a half a dozen bad oscillators. They really aren't problematic unless current situation and then the wires are pretty fine and they roasty toasty. Okay. Look at your IF coil, got a burn mark on it or the wax melted in place. That's a typical giveaway as well. Going back, you should be looking at this stuff. Some final thoughts are in the book. We covered all of those in the previous page. That kind of brings us to the end of the pentagram converter or the front end or the converter or the first detector. Questions?
Could you explain take the pentagram converter? There's the oscillator is the first grid, and then there's 2 grids that are connected together.
What's the purpose of the 270?
To connect them together. In this case, that grid element in the triode section of the fire and the shield between the oscillator. I'm gonna save more detail to when we get to function. Big pictures up here, and I can show you electron flows. But there's a lot of interesting things that happened after we invented the triode. There's a rich history in there, what didn't work and what did work. Let's put another element in there. That's much better. But the problem was, let's put another element in there. And pretty soon you have the 3, 4, 5 wins. And we'll be talking about that. But you will see those two tied together. You also see elements tied to the cathode. And that's trying to they also have to do with shielding and making structures.
Somebody over here had a question. Yes, sir.
Well, the All-American 5 are so similar in circuitry. Why are there so many different?
Because there were so many different manufacturers with so many chief engineers who thought it was best that they do something to earn their pay. I really don't have a great answer for that, other than when the All-American 5 came out, it was a race to see who could build them cheaper. And that's where a little creativity goes. When you change the tube, one manufacturer finds in the warehouse they've got 150,000 of this tube they need to get rid of. Chief engineer is going to design that into the radio somehow, and they're going to change some of the values here to accommodate the tube. Many different reasons that they're just a little different, and some of them work really, really well. General Electric and Westinghouse, phenomenal. All-American. RCA and Philco, a handful of really good ones with a very minimal amount of parts, but so many of them. It was a contest to see who could be the months of radio. You know, how many parts can we take out and still make it work? And they got to the point where they actually, the routing of wiring in some of these radios was critical, because they eliminated so many of the components that any little thing out of place, the thing would start to unwanted oscillations and all sorts of strange effects. I had people who unearthed the wire out of something, brought it over, and it didn't play. So we started tucking the wires back in corners and underneath other things. But it started playing again. Good question. And I don't have really good quality answer for it, other than because radio probably wanted to make sure that they had their own diagram and design so that they didn't get into water with any other radio station or copyright infringements.
The original patent was on heterodyne. It was aborted and then was stolen, as far as I understand.
Yeah, in the late teens, we could do an entire series on a couple of people who were victims of thievery. Armstrong probably being the greatest victim, and Farnsworth right behind him. Empire of the Air. Yes, if you like that kind of stuff, get the book or watch the PBS. You can get it on YouTube now. Empire of the Air. Won't teach you anything about radios, but oh boy, will it get into the personality of all of this.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, how is it? Why is it that the pattern only affects the lower end of the dial? Why is it? Because it is affecting the overall local oscillator frequency. Just trying to understand why it is just affects.
It actually is. It becomes part of the LC circuit. But it is a series LC circuit versus a parallel LC circuit. And so it's going to tug at the bottom when it's in parallel. There, do you have the book that I'm training?
Oh yeah.
Marcus and Levy, about halfway through, actually in the very beginning, they say, and there's also the potential for a pattern. We'll talk about it later in the chapter. It is later in the chapter. It's a very rich conversation from a technical perspective. I actually put an X next to the passage because I didn't really get that deep. So I get that deep there, then when I get real deep other places, that we're gonna be in here for problems. So I'm really aiming for the shade tree mechanic. Is anybody willing, is there any other questions? Is there anybody here willing, when the time comes, and I'm gonna guess about 3 months from now that we get into passes somewhere, well, who would be willing to bring their conundrum, All-American Five to dissect?
Everybody raise their hand now.
I will offer one or two things we can bring in. You know, one of those times when work was a little too fulfilling and I didn't get one of these put together. Then it would be fun to bring those up on the table and dissect it, look at it, bring in 2 or 3 pieces of test gear, show what you can do with what little you have, and get around the table, have a range of it. So think about that. The other thing is if you're all the way to the end of the radio, say, gosh, I've been on the classes, I think enough to work, but I still can't make it work. There are a handful of nights every month that I'm bored in my garage. Call me and see if we can find it today. Be happy to do anybody in this group who's struggling trying to get radio. Don't come over looking for a lesson as they do here. But understand if you're ready to work on it, there'll be a lesson. But I'm willing to do like here. The only thing is you have to do it on my schedule. That's plans. Other than that, that's all I've got for you today.
Thank you, Blake. Oh. Okay. So you want to announce it? Dan's the winner. Almost unanimously, Dan's the winner, just to let everybody know. And he's gone. So.
Yeah.
That's okay. Here. Throw that away.
Yeah.